Imagine a world where the most powerful figures in history never raised their voices, but controlled everything with silence. What if the true key to dominance was not being seen but being invisible? What if the secret to unshakable power was not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say? The art of power, as described by Machiavelli, is not in grand declarations or visible actions. It lies in silence. Silence in its purest form is not mere absence of sound. It is a carefully calculated weapon that conveys authority, control, and strategic thinking. In a world obsessed with visibility and constant interaction, mastering the art of ignoring becomes the ultimate form of strength. But why does silence hold such power? In the realm of power, dynamics, those who can control their image, who know when to speak, and crucially when to stay silent, are often the ones who dominate. Machiavelli centuries ago understood this fundamental truth. He wrote that reality mattered less than perception, and that those who control how they are perceived, without the need for force or visible effort, hold true power. It's not about being loud and dominant. It's about being present only when you need to be, and even then only with calculated precision. The psychology behind this strategy is profound. When you remain a mystery, you can never be predicted. And when you can't be predicted, you can't be countered. The people around you are left to guess, to create their own narrative, and in that vacuum, you exert the ultimate control. You dictate the narrative not by speaking, but by remaining silent. The real question that arises here is, why do we fear silence? Why does it make us uncomfortable? And why do we feel compelled to fill it with words, actions, or reactions? The answer lies in our need for control, for reassurance, and for validation from the outside world. But what happens when we let go of this need? What happens when we stop reacting, stop justifying, and start choosing silence as our method of exerting influence? To master silence, to master the art of not reacting, is to transcend the need for constant validation. When you are comfortable in your own presence, when you are immune to the pressure of expectations, you become a force to be reckoned with. The ability to remain calm in the face of provocation, to withhold your energy from the noise of the world, is what sets powerful individuals apart from the rest. It is the ultimate demonstration of inner strength. In this sense, silence is not the absence of power. It is its manifestation. By not responding to every insult, every provocation, every emotional trigger, you protect your core self. You prevent others from manipulating your emotional state, and by doing so, you make yourself unassailable. When your emotional state is no longer in the hands of others, you hold the reins of control. Machiavelli's timeless advice on power: never show all of yourself, never let others have too much access to your emotions, is rooted in psychological truth. By remaining impenetrable, you force others to question their assumptions, to reevaluate their position in relation to you. They begin to wonder, what does this person know? What are they hiding? And in that uncertainty, you command respect. As we look deeper into this philosophy, it becomes clear that the real strength does not lie in domination or coercion. It lies in knowing when to act, and just as importantly, when to remain still. The leader who can control their silence does not need to be the loudest in the room. Their presence is enough. Their silence speaks volumes. In a world where noise and chaos often reign, silence becomes a powerful tool of resistance. It is not about avoiding conflict or retreating from challenges. It is about choosing your battles wisely. It is about recognizing that not everything needs to be addressed, not every insult needs to be returned, and not every opinion requires a counterargument. By embracing silence, you not only protect your own peace, but also reinforce your position of power. This selective engagement, this ability to withdraw emotionally, allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters. You become strategic in your responses, and by doing so, you shape the world around you without ever needing to force it. Machiavelli teaches us that the most powerful figures are those who do not succumb to the impulse to react. They observe, they wait, and they act when the moment is right. Silence is the battlefield on which they fight, and in this arena, they remain untouchable. This is the essence of psychological control. The power of silence is not just a strategic maneuver, it is a fundamental principle that governs human interaction. To understand this concept fully, we must dive into the psychology behind why silence creates such a profound effect on both the individual and the people around them. At the core of this idea lies the human need for validation. People want to be seen, heard, and understood. In the face of silence, however, they are forced to confront their own neediness. When someone refuses to react to engage, it disrupts the usual flow of interaction. The typical dance of attention-seeking behavior is thrown off balance. The person who remains silent forces others to come to terms with their own expectations, desires, and assumptions. This is where true power lies. When you can exist outside the influence of others' needs, you gain control over your environment. But the key here is not just silence for silence's sake. It is about mastering the timing of silence. In a room full of noise, silence becomes a profound statement. It's not just about withholding information, it's about knowing when and where to withhold it. This controlled, deliberate quietness has an almost magnetic effect. People are drawn to it because it suggests mystery, depth, and authority. In a world that's obsessed with self-expression, and exposure withholding is a rare and powerful act. Machiavelli's analysis of power suggests that the true master of control doesn't need to be constantly present or constantly speaking. Instead, they know when to appear and when to recede, maintaining an air of mystery that gives them an almost mythic quality. In fact, as we look at history's most powerful figures, we find that many of them used silence as a tool to enhance their dominance. Consider the political leaders, the rulers, the figures who shaped the course of history. Most of them didn't dominate through sheer force. They dominated by controlling their presence. They knew when to speak, when to act, and most importantly, when to stay silent. The perception of their power was built on this selective engagement. They understood that mystery is power. When people don't fully understand you, they cannot predict you. And when they can't predict you, they can't control you. Let's take this principle into the modern context. In the age of social media and constant connectivity, we find that those who resist overexposure are often the ones who are most revered. Think about the figures in today's world who are consistently at the top of the power hierarchy. You'll notice a common thread: they do not indulge in every conversation, nor do they allow every comment or critique to affect them. They have mastered the art of silence, carefully controlling their public image and their emotional response to external pressures. This strategic silence, this ability to stay calm in the face of provocation, is not simply about personal power. It's a skill that, when applied to any social or professional context, can make an enormous difference. Whether in the boardroom, in personal relationships, or in broader societal interactions, those who understand the value of restraint are often the ones who command the most influence. The power of silence is not about being cold or distant. It's about preserving your energy and focus for the things that truly matter. When you react impulsively to every situation, you give away your power. You allow others to dictate your emotional state, to trigger you into responses that may not align with your true intentions. But when you control your reactions, when you stay calm and composed, you keep the power firmly in your own hands. The art of silence is the art of not letting anything or anyone pull you out of your center. To illustrate this with an example, think of the business leader who, despite facing criticism or setbacks, does not react emotionally. Instead of responding with defensiveness or irritation, they take a step back, evaluate the situation objectively, and only engage when they have the clarity to do so with purpose. This is the person who, in times of crisis, is able to maintain control and emerge victorious because their silence acts as a shield. Their emotional composure becomes their greatest asset, allowing them to navigate challenges without losing sight of their ultimate goals. As we draw closer to the end of this exploration into the power of silence, it's crucial to reflect on the deeper psychological implications of Machiavelli's philosophy. The mastery of silence is not merely a tactical approach. It is a way of reshaping how you engage with the world. It is about the art of being selective with your time, your attention, your emotions, and most importantly, your energy. In a world that constantly demands more from us, more interactions, more opinions, more validation, the ability to hold back is a rare and valuable trait. It requires discipline, a deep understanding of your own value, and the confidence to not need constant affirmation. This is the foundation of Machiavelli's wisdom. Power is not about being constantly present, constantly reacting, or constantly visible. It is about controlling what you show and when you show it. Those who master this control can navigate the complex web of human interaction with unparalleled ease. When you choose not to respond to every provocation, you reclaim your autonomy. You no longer let the world dictate your emotional state. You become immune to the manipulations of others because your emotional state is yours alone. This immunity gives you the freedom to act with clarity, to decide when and how you engage, and to move through life with a sense of purpose and confidence that others cannot easily disrupt. Machiavelli's insight that the prince must learn to be more feared than loved is not a call to cruelty or to creating enemies. It is a recognition that human relationships at their core are transactional. People are drawn to power, but they are also wary of it. By embracing silence, by allowing your presence to loom, without ever making it known, you impose a level of respect that others cannot easily ignore. You become someone who commands authority without the need to speak a word. In the context of leadership, silence often proves to be more powerful than any forceful display of dominance. The true leader does not need to shout to be heard. Their presence alone demands attention. They exude an air of calm assurance and impenetrable composure that others can't help but admire. This is the essence of psychological power, the ability to remain unaffected, unmoved, and utterly centered in the face of chaos. Moreover, in relationships, whether professional or personal, silence can act as both a defense and a weapon. It prevents others from gaining too much influence over your emotional landscape. By refusing to engage in every emotional tug-of-war, you create boundaries that protect your sense of self. These boundaries, while not always visible, are felt by others. People begin to understand that there are certain areas they cannot invade, certain things that are not up for negotiation. This invisible force is what keeps your power intact. It's also important to understand that silence does not mean passivity or indifference. It is a conscious, active choice to preserve your energy, to prioritize what truly matters, and to act only when the time is right. It is about being strategic with your emotions and responses, ensuring that when you do engage, it is with purpose and precision. To conclude, the greatest leaders in history, the individuals who have left an indelible mark on the world, understood that power is not about being loud, visible, or constantly in motion. True power lies in the ability to remain silent when the world around you is clamoring for attention. It is about knowing when to show up, when to withdraw, and when to simply be present in the space you've created for yourself. Machiavelli's teachings remind us that silence is not a void. It is a force. It is a tool for self-mastery, for emotional control, and for strategic dominance. In a world where everyone is shouting, the person who can control their silence is the one who commands the room, the one who leaves an indelible mark without ever raising their voice. The true measure of power is not in what you say, but in what you choose to withhold. Are you ready to master the power of silence, to become the force that cannot be controlled, the person who commands respect without uttering a word? Start practicing the art of restraint today. Subscribe for more insights on mastering the art of power and strategy.